Hey, everybody, it's the game show guy, Ryan. We're back, and it's still in the summer, man. And I got to tell you, I'm having a great time this summer. I am playing around and finding some new games, fixing some old games that I've done in the past. And I got a new one for you today. One of my summer brand new games, one of my faster turnarounds. As I'm thinking a lot about game shows and games and board games and carnival games this summer, I thought about this one and I thought, boy, this is a game that everybody kind of already knows. And many of you have played already. And it's super simple. And so why am I trying to be able to do this in this context? Well, because so many of my games aren't necessarily just the board game or the television game. I try to incorporate the idea of the review game, the content review. And so I think virtually every game that I do is going to be an interaction with your students about, hey, let's see if they know some stuff. Assess them, do some reteaching, and then wrap it in a package of games. And so then I thought about this particular game, and I'm like, how can I put review questions in this? And so, well, you're here to watch. So if you want to find out, stick around for the rest, because, folks, this is Minute to Win It. Yeah, Minute to Win It, folks. I think, right, you've seen it. It actually was a television show. Didn't last that long, couple seasons. I think what has really taken off in the Minute to Win It is is in the social arena, that you go to a party, you go to a kid's party, you go to a holiday party, you see church events, you see countless things, classrooms all the time. How many of you have done these in a professional development situation where, like, hey, everybody, let's get up and play a little of these Minute to Win It games, such. So what I wanted to do was how I could, like I mentioned in the intro, how I can be able to tie this in. First off, package this so that you can be able to have it all built in one particular place, and then connect some of these content review questions along with it. So the first thing I want you to take note of, everybody, is this right here, which is the heads up, like my Bitmoji here saying, try not to get shocked with this, which is I'm not giving you the game materials, the resources, okay? The magic of Minute to Win It games is the stuff. It's not the screen that's behind you and, hey, everybody, look and read that thing. It's about the manipulatives. It's the actual competing in these short contests or whatever. So like you can see here, it says in all caps, you're going to be the one who is going to be providing the supplies for this game. And then the other thing I want you to take note of is the idea is that I'm going to mention this several times in this video, which is I'm only giving you a structure. Feel free to adapt it and change it and to be able to make it fit however best you want. Like you can see here, my recommendation is this. I'm going to give you 12 games. 12 games that I think that work well in a sort of a classroom environment. Feel free to just go off on your own. Look at here. You go to Google Minute to Win It games for teens, for primary ages, for adults, whatever. You're going to be able to find. I cannot tell you how much there is out there. The amount of research that I did on Minute to Win It games is a bit too much. I'll tell you that. But for you, find some stuff. You've probably played some. Okay. And some you may think that this is fun, but it may not necessarily work with my age group, or actually there's too much stuff. How many am I going to get? All these sort of things. Anyway, so I've come up with 12 games. My 12 games that I'm going to introduce, by the way, the reason I did those is because I think that they're easy. I think that they're relatively low cost. They're not going to put you back a whole bunch. And I think the other thing I really wanted to emphasize is that they're reproducible. Is that the right word? I think so. Anyway, I didn't want to be able to have a game like this where it's like, hey, 3 teams and you got to each do pull the Kleenex. How many Kleenexes who's the fastest to empty a Kleenex box? The next thing you know, now I have 3 Kleenex boxes. And then, let's say I'm a middle school teacher and I teach 4 periods of this. And I'm like, how many of these am I going to go through? Kind of a thing, and such. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do things that require a lot of setup or a mess as well, too. So, but like I said, feel free, please go through, find your own stuff. Google, YouTube, TikTok, everything is out there to be able to kind of see these things. All right, let me explain a little bit about what I packaged together, put this thing together in terms of the content review and the minute to win it games. And the basic idea is this: is that I'm going to ask students questions. The students will get points for those questions. Then they're going to do the minute to win it game after the questions. Whoever can win the minute to win it challenge, however many points that you got in the question round, the winner will then double their points. That's it. Second place, I'm going to give them some points. And then any other teams afterwards, sorry, you lost. So not everybody gets a trophy. Anyway, that's the point of it. So, all right. So how many teams are you going to do? I really like the 3 to 4 teams for most of my games. I like that. It puts about 10 to 12 kids on a team. And such. All right. So, and like so many of them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the class set up, group them up into 3 or 4 teams. Then I'm going to call them up. I'm going to, not the entire teams. I'm going to be able to have one player come up from each team. That player is going to come up, and this is not a race-based question. We're going to be able to have, this isn't a speed one, so I want you to be able to have something that they can write on. I love the mini whiteboards. It could just be paper, but they're going to want to be able to do this and keep it to themselves. Now, some people, for a lot of my games too, if it's just, you could have 1, 2, 3, one person from each team, or you could do 2, 2, and 2. So I could have 2 people from team 1, 2 people from team 2, and so forth come up. And that kind of makes it a little bit, it changes the dynamics a little bit, takes away from some of the stress of the kids who don't want to be in front of the class. Also depends on how challenging your questions are. If you get some difficult questions, you may want to be able to pair them up. Something to be able to think about. I'm just going to go on the basis, let's say we're just going to send one player from each team up. One student from each team comes up, and they're sitting with their whiteboard, and then I'm going to ask them 3 questions. Now, I've done this. Usually in many of my games, there's 1 question per slide. This one I'm doing 3 questions. All will be on the same slide. So I'm going to show you an example of what it looks like here. So let's say I'm going to bring up this question. Here I can see all 3 questions are on the one slide. And then from there, the kids are going to be able to take their time and try to be able to put their answers on there. Okay. Like so many of my games, the games come with sound effects. So let me go to the start of the game because I really like this one here. So to try to create the excitement or whatever. So here it comes. Boom. We're playing minute to win it. And always, usually I got like a classroom edition. That's a text box. Feel free to change that and say 5th grade science or whatever you want to do. Kind of thing. All right, so now I go to that one. Let's pretend. So let's see what it looks like in this demo round. I would say, okay, everybody, I want 1 player from each team coming on up. Player 1, player team 2, team 3. I got another side note. I got on the YouTube channel. You'll see I got a bunch of videos, little tips. One of them is about best way to coax kids out of their groups. Check that out. There's a bunch of different ways to be able to do that. All right, so I got player 1. Somebody from player 1, player 2, player 3. Here's your question. There's your music, your sound effect. This lasts for a few seconds. Now the kids are writing down their answers. This is quiet. Don't cheat and don't look at it when you're done. Hold them to your chest. Once you make sure that everybody's done with your questions. All right, now I want you to show me your boards. All right, so now they're going to show their boards here. Let's see, I got Harry Styles for the first one. I have basketball. And I have hot dogs. So let's see. Now you do your reteaching piece. Like, hey, everybody. Yes, number 1 is Harry Styles. 2 is basketball. 3, actually, because the dip and the thing, it's actually not a hot dog. It's a corn dog. All right. So going to the game part of this, if you take a look at the directions here on the game thing, I'm basically saying it's going to be 10 points per question. So then tell all the kids who are up there with your pen, I want you to put your total in the corner. So this particular student got 2 correct. So they're going to do, we got 20 points. That 20 points is theirs to keep. They earned it. Okay. But now we're going to go to the minute win it challenge. This is why we had this particular game. I got my 20 points. I'm going to put my whiteboard aside. And now we're going to jump in and play a game. And like I said, you can see in the directions right there, whoever wins this challenge, the minute to win it challenge, whatever you got, I had 20 points for this one player. If they win the challenge, they get 40. Okay. If someone got 30 points, then that doubles into 60. Okay. Whoever comes in second place, I give you the same amount as if you got 1 question right and nothing for the rest. That's the game, folks. How many of these do you do? Yeah. First off, I've never done this. This is a brand new game over the summer, so I don't know. I would think at least 5. Besides, I mean, if you're not playing 5 minute to win it things, they're quick. And the questions, I would think, I made 12. That may be a bit much. I would think a sweet spot would be around 7 or so, but that's me. Hey, I'd love to be able to hear your feedback for those of you who take a shot at this thing. Okay, so After the questions, then you break out the minute to win it. I take those. I'm going to take those 3 players and have them transition to do the minute to win it challenge. I guess theoretically you can have some kids answer the questions and other ones do the challenge, but I don't know. I'm going to stick it with you do the questions, you do the challenge. Okay, so now what are the challenges they're going to be? Here is my list of 12 that I've sort of done my research, played with them, had my own children come in here, and we demoed these and all this, and you'll see that. To try to be able to see kind of what works best. Like I said before, throw some of them out. Keep them all. Get rid of them all. I don't care. You find yours that work relatively well. Even in doing this, I was all ready to go. I had my kids came in here. 2 of the games that I don't have listed, we tried and we said, that's not good. That's not good. Scrap that one. So we threw a couple of them out. They were just too easy and such. So we created a couple other ones as well too within here. So you can see the ones that are on there. Some are classic. You've played Face Cookie or some of these other ones before. Some of you maybe never seen before and such. Now I have these kind of rules here that are on there. Again, please change and modify them. So like take a look at number 10, bottle flip. Like that's the classic. Hey, who can flip the bottle first? That game may be over in 2 seconds. So you could be able to say, hey, first team to be able to flip the bottle 3 times correctly or 5 times or whatever, based on your age, your skill level, and all that sort of stuff. My last recommendation, by the way, it's like my daughters and I, when we did this, is test them out, play them with your family, with friends, or maybe with some of your kids at another day or something like that. But you don't want to go in here and realize like that didn't work or that was too fast, or that was too long, kind of a thing. So test them out a little bit. They're pretty fast. All right, so those are the games that you can see here. Let me show you how the template ultimately looks like. So what you're going to do here, folks, is you're going to bring up your next question. So this is the game template. 3 new players, come on up. They get their whiteboards. Here comes their questions where it says question, question, question. You type those in. From there, then when they're all done, they're like, okay, show me your answers. They turn their answers over. Then you go over the answers, and here are the answers, everybody. Answer number 1, answer number 2, answer number 3, write down their points, set their whiteboards aside. Now let's go play a game. And here's game number 1. I'm doing Face Corner. Okay. I have these in the order that I did. Feel free, like I said, I can't emphasize enough, move these around. If you really like Face Cooking and you want to do it later, move it to later. A lot of my games have some pretty intricate sort of animations and hyperlinking, and then back to slide number 2 and then over to slide number 40. This has 0 of that. This is just a straight linear. Next one, next one, next one, next one. You just use this here, folks. You just use your clicker. Next, next, next. So if I want to move some stuff around, totally okay. If you're going to move one of my Jeopardy questions around, my Jeopardy games, you're going to create some problems because things are hyperlinked to them. Here they are not. There's just basically 3 things here. The name of the game, we're playing Face Cookie. The bottom corner, you can see it says how many people are playing. Since most I had 3 of the people playing, and so let's say for team 1 there was just 1 player. That means here there's only 1 player that's going to play. Some of them they'll require multiples because it's a partnership, so they're going to have to go get somebody from their team, kind of a thing. And then the third part is you get to see my daughters be able to test out these games, and we got these little animated GIFs over there. Feel free to leave them to show them what they're like. If you notice on here on the bottom, I have done the descriptions that were also on that previous slide that listed them all. So it says here, place a cookie on someone's forehead. They only can use their face and gravity and their muscles, can't use their hands or any other part of their body to be able to get the cookie into their mouth. So between these 3 things, the name of it, the animated GIF, and then you explaining it, I hope your kids can be able to get the gist of it. Oh, the last thing is you could just demonstrate it there. Right? Your 4th way to be able to do it. Like we're playing Face Cookie, everybody. And now, hey, I'm Mrs. Johnson. Watch this, everybody. I'm going to try it. And it failed. Your guys' turn. So the instructions are pretty low end on these ones. They're pretty self-explanatory. If you don't want these animated GIFs and you find them distracting, just go over here and click on them and hit delete. It's yours. Then you could just have the Face Cookie on there. I have them there for you to be able to kind of do an explanation. All right. When you're ready, then you're now going to do the way that this is intended, that these have to be, these are contests between the 3 teams. I need a winner and a second place. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line those 3 students up. You can, for the face cookie, this is probably a sit-down game. Have them sit in a chair, or you can have them stand, and then I'm going to give them some cookies, not just one, because they may drop some or whatever, and then have them ready to go in their hand. Make them all ready to go. Ready, set, go, and then you're going to put have them begin. In this particular game, there's not really a timer, because it's basically the first person to get the cookie in the mouth is first place. Second person is second place, and you're done. But the next slide is a timer, and the timer will start. There's no sounds on the timer, and I didn't do the count down. I'm doing a count up. You'll see in some of the games, it's they're like counting games. How many can you get within a minute time? For this, I would definitely recommend have a student working on the clock, or have yourself a wireless mouse so that I could be closer to the game and be able to stop it. It doesn't stop on its own. There's no sound to be able to do with this, because you may want to fudge it a little bit. You may want to be able to, after you've played with the game, think, oh, this is only going to be 30 seconds, 45 seconds, or maybe I need to do 2 minutes. So that's why it's just an open timer that will go. And so that's it. And then once you're done, you just manage the game itself. All right, Hunter, winners, Bobby, nice job. You got that so fast and such. You need to be flexible too, because what would happen in this particular game if nobody got a number 2? If nobody got a number 1, you got to scrap into another game, but you know what I mean, kind of a thing. So, and that's an essence of the games. It's going to be the questions, the answers, the name of the game, and then the timer, and that's it for each of them. Okay. I'm just going to go through them here briefly, and let me just kind of explain the games and see some sort of heads up for you. Although there's explanations in there that you can kind of get, but let me just give my little sort of heads up on each of these games. You can see here in this game called Suck It Up. In Suck It Up, if you look at the animated GIF, it's simply about using a straw. This is a contest within 1 minute. Who can get the most of those items from one to the other? It listed M&Ms. We actually used Smarties. We wanted to get something that was much more, because we didn't have an M&Ms on hand, and that's a great way for you to be able to do all your games. What do you have? Like, we got a whole bunch of Smarties kind of a thing, and you can make it more challenging or not. But this was a race game. Who can get the most in an amount of time? All right, next game is Palm Shuffleboard. This one is we created a little mini shuffleboard on a table. You can get creative with this one. You can do it on the ground, and we put some tape. And basically, even if it's on the ground too, you want a spot that is a sweet spot, not too short, not too far away. So here, she has to be able to get it across the second blue line. If it goes over, it doesn't count. If it falls off the side, it doesn't count. If you do it on the ground, it would just be, you can draw like a box, and how many of these little palms can they blow and get into the box in an amount of time, and that's where the timer is, kind of a thing. That's Palm Shuffleboard. Here we go. Next one is Stack Attack. Pretty simple. You choose how many cups you want to be able to do. How quickly can somebody able to stack them? You could be able to, I think we do 10 cups here, but you can do more or less than that. Pretty simple on that one. Next one is Junk in the Trunk. I got to say, when you search for Minute to Win a games, this is probably one of the most popular that come up. The idea that you put ping pongs in a Kleenex box, and you take some rope or a belt or whatever, and I think you do 10 ping pong balls in a box, and who either can get the most out or who can get them all out first, kind of a thing. That's Junk in the Trunk. Next one is Cup Toss. This is one that's going to be 2 people on there. You can see in the bottom it says 2 players. Let's just get something small and light. Here we're using those same palms, or you could do mini marshmallows or something like that. You change the distance or the size of the receptacle. If you've noticed in many of my games here, I'm just using sort of the same stuff. I'm going to use these the Dixie cups a whole bunch. I'm going to use these palms quite a bit so that I can just sort of maximize and not have a bunch of different sort of materials for each game, so I can be able to not have as much out there. And so here, this one, in a minute's time, how many of these can we ultimately get? Next question is Dice Stack Challenge. Let them know ahead of time. So if somebody has zero chopstick skills, they may not necessarily want to do this one. And so you pick how many dice that you want and how many that they need to be able to ultimately stack, kind of a thing. Simple, fun one there. That's Dice Stack Challenge. balloon cup race, so much fun. My daughters were both wanted to do this one for our demo here. And you create a little bit of an obstacle course, and who using a balloon can use only the balloon from the air to be able to move it across. If you got carpet, I wouldn't do that. Carpet's a little bit harder to move across, so more of a hard surfaces kind of a thing. Really simple to do. The longer you make it, they may have to reblow, fill up their balloon kind of a thing. Kind of a thing. And you can do it different ways. I put 2 players on here. So you could do this is if you just want an individual who could do it the fastest. If you wanted to, you can have 2 people from each team, and they would need to do it twice, or have to do 2 parts of the obstacles course. Like you can see, just get creative with this sort of stuff. I'm looking forward to doing this whole game. I'm going to do this. I'm planning to do this within the first month that we come back. I'm already building my questions that can go along with it. I mentioned this before. Here's the bottle flip. My one daughter did it on her second try, kind of a thing. So you may want to be able to say first person to be able to do it 3 times, 5 times, whatever, kind of a thing. Next, we're almost done here, aren't we? A tennis ball flip. I made this one up myself, and just because we got a bunch of tennis rackets around here. My friend is one of the tennis coaches, and so with that in mind, that's what I wanted to be able to talk about here. Is use what you have around you. Since my friend is a tennis coach, I just got tennis balls like crazy. For another game that I did that you can see on Teachers Paid Teachers, I got a game called I got a basketball game that is called I forget the name. It's the name of my basketball game. Beat the Buzzer. There it is. Boy. Anyway, so I got a whole bunch of these I got like a pack of like 20 of these little cute little balls. And so I'm not only going to use them for Beat the Buzzer, can I use them for something else? And you're going to see at the end about where we can ultimately use them. You got a whole bunch of straws. Use some straws or pom-poms, whatever you got. So I have tennis balls and rackets. I'm going to use those. Who can be able to get the longest streak in 1 minute time? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, he falls down, start again. Who can get the longest streak on that one? You can see. Have fun with these things. Is there a finale? You bet there is. I like to have finales. Not all my games, but for a fair amount of them, I like to have a finale. For this one, it's the same thing. Just double everything or triple it or whatever. Anyway, come up with your own one. So, hey, final one, everybody. I like to let them know also, so when the game's kind of done. Like I said, I have 12 questions in this. Feel free, like if you want a finale, but 12's too many, like cut some of the ones in the middle. And this is just like the cup challenge. But I call this one Trash Can Basketball, and this is the stuff that I got for my other game that I mentioned. But you literally can do. I didn't use these basketballs. We just took recycled paper that we have a stack of recycled paper, and we just made paper wads. And here I use my little basket, just use a garbage can, and in the amount of time, who can be able to make the most? You could do it that way, and how fast they go, or you could be able to give them each a certain amount. Right? Like, hey, for each of you, I'm going to give you all 20 little trash balls, and who can make the most out of 20 or 10. I would do at least 10 because you don't want to have, there could be some ties in there. Anytime you do have ties, you just kind of have a, sudden death kind of a thing. But the girls here weren't doing a speed. They were doing back and forth. Folks, that is Minute to Win It. Like I can't mention enough is be creative, make your own on this sort of stuff. Have fun with it. I can't wait to be able to test it out. Would love to, as always, to be able to hear your feedback. Folks, enjoy Minute to Win It. I am Ryan, the Game Show Guy.